5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. O'Brien, in your testimony, you used quite a few statistics and some facts there, but you didn't provide the sources of those so that we could verify that. Things on page 3, you talk about the 20-time, you use a 20-time multiplier. You talked about the 3% with the poorest people. They're just serious. Could you go back through your testimony and provide us the references of those, if you would, please?
We'll be happy to do that.
But that leads me to another, because what I heard in your comments, you raised a very interesting, quite frankly, a moral question. I think everyone on the panel and others would agree that the African nation needs affordable and dependable energy for them to emerge from poverty. And there's a consensus among economists that the best way to do that is using their fossil fuels that either they have or they can develop with that. But by virtue of some of your testimony, it came across that these Africans and other people in third world nations shouldn't be, it comes across as they shouldn't be entitled to use them. Now America can, but they can't. And so there was a quote that was given. It was, forcing a third world person to stay behind by forcing him to use more expensive electricity just so some first world person will feel better about themselves. This comes across as immoral, and I'm troubled with that. And I hope that we can work together somehow to get across it, maybe change the minds of some individuals with that. But at the time that I have remaining, I'd like to hear a little bit of Mr. Moss, because you were also providing some very interesting testimony. I started talking about Africa a year ago, the problems that they have with the lack of power and how we can be exporting coal into Africa to develop so that they can emerge from poverty. And I used the model of a 60-watt light bulb. And I said, that's the total power that they have there is a 60-watt light bulb for 3 hours a day per person. That's it. So I want you to amplify a little bit more on that and also to reflect back on some of Mr. O'Brien's testimony, if you would, please.
Sure. I mean, I think that it's absolutely right that the poorest people in the world are going to be hit the hardest by climate change. But it's perverse to actually make the world's poor pay twice by compounding their poverty by taking measures that effectively deny them access to power. There is no plausible scenario that I've ever seen where African carbon emissions are going to affect global emissions. So if it's a global problem, the problem is in the current emitting countries. It's not, us denying Ghana 2 or 3 natural gas power plants is going to have absolutely zero effect globally. So it doesn't make sense to try to connect Ghanaian farmers who are having trouble with climate change and saying, well, let's not let Ghanaian farmers get electricity from Ghana's natural gas. That just is a logical leap that I think is, quite frankly, quite immoral. Just one other point I want to make. The IEA figures, the International Energy Agency, when they define energy access, it's for an urban household of 5 people, 500 kilowatt hours per year. That's 100 kilowatt hours per person. That is what an American will use in 3 days. So when you see these scenarios that we can provide universal energy access through nice solar panels. Yes, some clinics will run on solar panels. Yes, microhydro and other technologies are changing every day. But if your target is 3 days worth of electricity per year for somebody, of course you can do it through these other technologies. And you're not going to be able to build industry. You're not going to be able to have households that run refrigerators and washing machines and all of the things that all consumers want without being able to provide a modern energy system, which, given current economics, frankly, is going to have to be a mix, including a lot of fossil fuels in many places. And it's true that the prices of renewable technology is coming down. If it turns out that renewables are cheaper in Ghana or Kenya or Mozambique, then the regulations on something like OPEC are totally irrelevant. because OPEC is going to decide project by project on what is commercially viable. That's how they do it. So.
Gentleman's time has expired. At this time, recognize the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Castor.
Well, thank you, Mr.